All right, we're making three different things today, but I'm cheating on at least one of them. One, I'm baking some bread. We're going to do soup and bread to go with it for dinner tonight. I already uh, made a loaf of bread. It looks kind of sad. Gluten-free baking is a bit hit or miss, and I'm not very good at baking, but I try. I'm hoping this bread loaf, which right now is sort of smooshed out, is going to come up in the oven and look great. I'm gonna whack that in the oven and we'll keep working on some other stuff. We're gonna cook and talk at the same time, see if we can get a bunch of stuff cooked. Gonna start by making a whole bunch of noise and mess real quick. Ooh, get it up here. Okay, what time do we have? 9:45 right now, so that should be able to come out in about probably about 10:30, I reckon. So I'm making a couple of things ahead of time, and I'm taking the opportunity to talk more about how to cook, which was a lot of what I wanted to do when I said, oh, I'll do a YouTube cooking show, was less about giving recipes and more talking about how to cook. So I'm hoping to actually do that today. Someone said to me, I was talking to someone recently about cooking for some reason, and I said, we're all vegan and my wife has celiac disease, so everything I make is gluten free. And the person goes, so what do you eat? Styrofoam? And I guess some people find that funny. I don't. It's just weird to me. Like, it's weird to me that you can't conceive of a world in which people don't eat meat. I also have the profound sense that if you think not using meat in food makes it not tasty, then you probably don't know how to cook. So it got me thinking a lot about sort of what goes into cooking well, because I'll be honest, I think I cook really well. I think my food tastes delicious. I'm a big fan of it. I eat it every day. And I was thinking, how do I sort of talk about how to cook, this idea of how to cook generally, without recipes, doing things, doing things, with what you've got, sort of planning ahead a little bit, making your life a little easier. If you have a good grounding in sort of how to make things taste good, then you don't have to constantly plan rigorously for each meal. I need 2 tomatoes, I need 1 onion, I need this much salt, whatever. You don't have to look up a recipe. You can put yourself in a spot where if you've forgotten something, if you don't know, I was planning on using this, but I don't have it. Can I still make it? Yeah, you can. You just have to know what else to put in, or if you even need that thing. So the sort of the fundamentals, I think, of cooking are obviously the ingredients you start with. If you take meat off the plate, then the things you put on the plate, if you just take a meal and take the meat out of it, you're used to cooking with meat and you just take the meat out, you probably don't have much left there, especially if you're cooking somewhere like the US, or even Australia, where I'm from originally, where a lot of meals might be centered around meat. So if you take the meat out, you've just got sides, you've just got a sauce, a lot of the rest of the world where maybe meat is more of a sort of a topping in a sense. There's a small portion of meat compared to the rest of what's there. It might be a lot easier to do things without meat. You think of like a poke bowl, or sushi. People can't imagine sushi without fish, but if you take the fish out of sushi, you've still got a bunch of delicious stuff wrapped up in seaweed, and you can easily put something else in there. And there's a lot of traditional Japanese sushi that's made with vegan ingredients. Digressions left and right. Kevin, buddy, can you chill out? Come here, Kevin. I don't know, bibimbap. I'm just going with rice bowls. I don't know why, but curries and all sorts. Made with beans and what have you. Anyway, so if you get away from the idea of just taking meat out of something or replacing meat with something, and instead get to what are good ingredients to cook with. So you start there. What are the ingredients? I cook with a lot of beans, a lot of rice. Then you get to sort of other than like a main ingredient, let's say, what else are you putting in? And there's a lot of stuff that I cook with almost every time. I cook with onions pretty much every single day. I love garlic all the time. So some amount of veggies that you throw in, they all have a different bit of flavor here and there. So you can kind of get a sense of, well, maybe I don't have potatoes, I could use sweet potatoes. Or maybe, I want something with a bit of crunch. Well, I was going to use celery, instead I'll use fresh peppers. Something with a bit of crunch to it, or something with a bit of tartness to it. You're used to using limes in a recipe. Can you use oranges or lemons instead? Whatever, just sort of thinking outside the box rather than sticking rigorously to a recipe. What are you trying to achieve in the end? How you season it obviously is a big one. Don't be afraid to season stuff. If you get really hooked on the idea of I've got to add half a teaspoon of this spice and that spice, I would abandon that concept right now and just think I got to season the shit out of this food till it tastes good, and then do whatever tastes good. I was planning on making lentil soup. I don't have lentils right now, so instead of lentils, one of the things I'm making is going to be a mung bean soup. I've never made mung bean soup, but I had mung beans. They're about the same size as a lentil. I Googled it. They're actually technically a pulse, whereas a lentil is a legume. But, they're about the same size. They look pretty similar. I bet they'll work in a soup. But, why not go with, I've got a sort of garam masala type spice blend that I make. So I'm going to do like a curried lentil / mung bean soup, and we'll see how we go. So season the shit out of your food. You want to really season it. When you add the seasoning is also a thing. You don't want to come through right at the end and start trying to add spices to what you're cooking. You want the spices to cook in. So season your food, season it early. Generally, when you got hot oil in the pan, when you're cooking your onions or your other veggies or beans or something, you want to get it in then. You want to get it in the pan, hot, toast the spices a little bit, let them cook into the oil a little, and then let them cook through everything else you're cooking over the time period you're cooking. And that last bit, these dogs are it's gonna be rough on the recording. There we go. All right, back on it. So that last thing, so the ingredients you're using, seasoning it obviously, and then how long you cook things for, which is a big part of cooking, I reckon. And it's one I think about a lot. I like a lot of things that take a while to cook, so I try to cook those things earlier in the day. To really prove that point, previously I put up a video of caramelizing onions, which takes an hour, 2 hours. If you want to make an onion jam, like 2-3 hours of really slow cooking onions. There's a science behind this. If you're cooking something with proteins in it, I think it's the Maillard reaction. It's the conversion of proteins into sugars as they break down. Otherwise, just caramelization, the conversion of more complex carbohydrates into sugars. So with onions, it's sort of a breaking down of the cell wall and everything, and the starches that hold the cells together turn into sugars. So you end up with a lot of sweetness as the onions break down and turn mushy. These dogs will be the death of me. With tomatoes, you end up with this really neat transformation of a bright red fresh tomato into a really dark, so that dark, again, sweeter, richer flavor. And the longer you cook tomatoes, the more of that you get. Even making a basic tomato sauce, if you're using canned tomatoes, which have already been cooked some, if you cook it for at least half an hour, ideally more like an hour, just low heat, let it bubble away, you end up with a much darker, richer sauce. Not to say there isn't a place for a delicious, kind of quick cooked fresh tomato sauce, but you're going to get a different flavor out of it. So it depends what you're going for. So previously did that caramelizing onions video. Today and tomorrow, I'm making a video about how to make chili, because you can't make good chili in less than 24 hours. It's impossible. It's pretty easy to make. This is a family recipe, and despite what I said earlier, this is a recipe that just involves replacing the meat with something else. This is my mother-in-law's chili recipe. It's, I think, super, super easy. You would traditionally make it with chuck steak, I guess, ground beef, minced meat if you're in Australia. I use TVP. I use TVP only for a few things. Taco fillings one. If you want like a bolognese sauce, I do, but I prefer a spaghetti sauce with like white beans or something in it rather than putting in a fake meat. But taco filling, if you're making tacos, and chili are one place where I really like TVP. The trick to chili is that you let it cook for a long, long time. These onions are not my favorite. you let it cook for a long time. And I'm going to have to wait until, I guess, tomorrow to post this video, because tomorrow, once this chili has been cooking for about 24 hours, you'll see the transformation of mainly the tomatoes. What is going on with these ugly ass onions? Just that whole lobe of onions, gross. Look at that, get out of here, you. The transformation of the tomato sauce into this really rich brown color. You let everything cook in, and it really changes the nature of the ingredients in there. People really like serving vegetarian chili as an alternative a lot of times if they're trying to provide a vegan, vegetarian alternative. And what I've noticed is the way most people do it is they just get canned beans and, you know, sort of onions, tomato, canned beans, mix them all together and call it done. I have never enjoyed that. It doesn't taste good. I'm not about to start eating it. If I know I'm going somewhere and people are saying, oh, we'll have a vegetarian alternative, and it'll be chili, I am not above offering to bring chili, so I know that there'll be something there that, I mean, not just that I'll like, but if there's any other vegetarians there, it's nice to know that they'll have something to eat. And I have this vain hope that if I show people you can cook well without meat, that fewer people will eat meat, or at least start eating it less. Good for the animals, good for the planet. Pretty much the single most effective thing you can do to reduce your carbon footprint is to stop eating meat. People, you know, everyone rails about Al Gore flying about the country on a plane to give lectures about the climate. I mean, obviously someone's got to get out there and make the announcements. People like to, you know, talk about, oh, the government should make a law prohibiting this, or we should fund that. But not that many people are really willing to make the hardest decision, I think, which is that intensely personal decision. And yeah, it's a bit of a sacrifice, you know, if you've grown up eating meat. It can be a big decision and a sacrifice to give up this thing that's so closely associated with your cultural identity, and your values and what you know. But if you want to make a change, if you want to reduce your carbon footprint, stop eating meat. That's pretty much, you know, there's nothing else you can do that even comes close to that. You know, reducing your water usage as well. I grew up in Australia, so I'm sort of paranoid about how much water I use. It's just a thing you learn about there. But honest to God, you could forget about running the water while you brush your teeth. You could turn on the tap, turn on the faucet, and just leave it running for a year and just never turn it off. Fill up your glass when you want, brush your teeth when you want, wash your face, and just leave it running the whole time. And you won't use even a fraction of the amount of water that goes into producing the meat that you eat. I mean, I don't endorse doing this, but you could stop eating meat and just leave your tap on all year round, and you'll have made a net positive environmental change. So, you know, like I said, I mean, don't do that. You should be cautious about the water you use. We all should. But if you're concerned about the environment, if you're concerned about water usage and protecting the planet and so on, there's just no world in which you should eat meat. There are probably people out there who say, well, what about meat that I hunt myself, or this, that, and the other? And, you know, there's a sliding scale of environmental impacts. I think if you're actually going out and hunting wild animals, the environmental impact of that meat that you're eating is probably pretty minimal to none. Obviously, there's an animal rights issue there that I'll just put to the side for now. But in my experience, people who say, well, what about if I hunt, don't just hunt. It's not they only eat meat they hunt. They also get a burger sometimes. They also get meat at the store. If they go out to a restaurant, they'll, you know, order a steak. So it's, you know, to the extent you want to, I disagree with it on moral grounds, but on the environmental side, if you were to give up eating all meat, go entirely vegan except for meat that you hunt yourself, I guess that pulls at least one of the legs off my stool. But I haven't yet met that person. They're probably out there. Anyway, so how long you cook things? We're making chili. We'll turn my heat up a little bit. What do we got? We got to season this stuff while we're going. I use a lot of cumin. Boom. I just put cumin seeds in. They cook for long enough to where you don't really need to worry about it. A lot of chili. Oh, what am I saying? A lot of pepper. Get out of here, Chris. Don't be afraid of pepper. Turn the heat up there. There we go. And what have I got? Paprika, as some people will. Use up all that. And I guess this is unconventional, but I have found in my search for chili deliciousness, a little bit of cinnamon goes a long way. There's something to it. I don't know what it is, but a little bit of cinnamon in there. Cook with courage, you know, be bold. Try it out. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But I have found, I also like to add a little bit of cocoa powder, just a little bit, a pinch. You know, at the end of the day, when you take the chili off there we go. When you take the chili off the heat, you know, you're going for a really kind of complex, almost smoky flavor as the tomatoes and onions and everything are cooked in. So that chocolate flavor is not out of place there. You wouldn't want tons of it. I think chocolate chili sounds pretty gross. But a little bit of chocolate flavor in there is going to be pretty good for you. And then while we're cooking the chili, I'm just having the devil of a time with my onions today. Get off there, onion skin. I hope people find this entertaining. Watching me swear at vegetables has got to be just, you know, if that's not gripping television, I don't know what is. I got dogs in the background. I got vegetables misbehaving themselves. If I don't get this done soon, we're going to have a baby in one arm. But, you know, cook through the chaos, cook with courage, cook through the chaos. There we go. So, like I said, lentil soup. I'm cooking two things at once. I guess I should give the rundown on the chili. The chili's super easy. It is onions, a bunch of seasoning. Into that we will whack, and I can probably start to do it right now. I have TVP that I made yesterday for taco filling, and I made a lot of it, so I would have some left over exactly for this purpose. I'm just going to toss it in now. I like to cook the onions a little bit with the spices to get a bit of a, you know, a bit of a brown on the onion. From the oil, start to develop those flavors. But you don't need to be too strict about cooking everything in the pan and making sure it's all cooked in the oil, because you're going to let this go for about 24 hours. Everything's going to get cooked. So onion, TVP, we're going to put some garlic in there. 2 bell peppers, green peppers, capsicum, call them what you want. You can use more, you can use less. I just always use 2. I always make about the same amount of chili. At least 1 jalapeno. You're going to put in a good amount of tomato paste. My can opener made a nasty job of these cans. If I finish this video without bleeding from the fingers, it'll be a miracle. Two cans, you know, it's somewhere between, I guess that's about 1.5 cups, 2 cups. So that's 2 cups worth of tomato paste. You can use one of the big cans, 2 of the little cans, big can, the little can, 3 little cans. A good amount of tomato paste. And then, and this is sacrilege, I know, to many people in Texas, beans. I've got a bunch of pinto beans that I cooked up yesterday for that same taco filling. That's all going to go in here. Boom. Cooking up nicely. Here we go. We'll just go ahead and whack this all in and then make some lentil soup. One of the nice things about having dogs is every little bit of stuff that I drop on the floor gets vacuumed up for me. Of course, anything that I leave on the counter a little too close to the edge also gets vacuumed up for me. So, you know, downsides. But yeah, that's, you know, that idea of how long you cook things for is, I think, a really important part of cooking, it's important to sort of realize that flavors develop. If you try to throw everything together at the last minute, you can be in a bit of a bind and things just don't taste that. They taste kind of flat. You know, you'll have, if you're using tomatoes, things will taste too acidic. If you're using onions, things will taste way too oniony. You get that sort of burny onion flavor, which has its place. Kevin, I'm in the middle of something, buddy. And I know you don't even want to go out. You just want me to open the door for you. Kevin, no. Watch this. This is, here, you want to go outside? Doesn't go outside, just stands there. Stands there looking. You gonna go? You want it to? Okay. Like 8 times a day with this dog. It's a good thing you're sweet. Oh man, and as I'm focusing so much on the chili, I've got my oil for the soup starting to get too hot. Doing too many things at once, you know what I mean? Get those peppers in there. Boom. Yeah, so you know, you end up with too much onion flavor. You'll obviously, you don't want to undercook anything. I have undercooked a bunch of things in my time. You know, you try to serve, I've served lasagna with crunchy noodles. I've served potato gratin with crunchy potatoes. You know, you try to bake a muffin and you end up with a lava cake, just goo in the middle. It happens. If you cook, it's law of large numbers. You cook a lot, you're going to fuck a lot of things up. But, you know, if you let that hold you back, man, you're never going to cook anything. So we got the peppers in there. We got peppers. We got TVP, onion. Real quick, I'm going to get my lentils going. I put some olive oil in the pan over here. I think I've mentioned this before. When I'm making lentil soup, dal, anything with lentils or a lentil-like product, I like to cook the lentils, beans, pulses, legumes, whatever they are. Cook them in the pan for a little bit first. I read it somewhere. There's probably science behind it. I haven't checked. You know, I talk about these things so confidently until I have to start justifying myself and I realize I can't. There's probably some science behind it. Cook them a little in the pan, just in the oil. They'll pop and sizzle at you. Don't be afraid of it. Kev, can you get out from underfoot, my boy? While they're in there, I'm going to throw in some of this garam masala, like I said. Oh man, you know what I got the other day and I'm definitely going to use? Where is it? Oh, it's hiding. There it is. Bam. My gosh, I'm excited. Hang, tiny little jar. Asafoetida. I always read it and said asafoetida. There's probably a correct way of pronouncing it. Hang is what it's called, I guess, in South Asian cooking. I'm going to use a little, oh, here we go, clean spoon. You need the tiniest amount of this. This stuff's mixed up with some gum arabic, I think. There we go. Oh, God, that's a smell. It's got this super intense kind of onion garlic smell to it. It's a very, very powerful spice. So you can't really ever find it just pure. It's always mixed with something. Most of the time it's mixed with something including wheat. But you know, you can find versions of it, especially if you look online, that are with a gluten-free substrate, as it were. So let those cook a little bit. Ooh, that smells good. So you're gonna let your lentils cook a little bit. I'm gonna whack a bunch of onion right in there. There we go. Just like that. And again, with a soup, you know, the time you're cooking things matters because you want those flavors to cook together. But again, you're cooking things in the soup for a while. So you need to worry less about kind of getting everything cooked right up front. You think a little bit more about layering the flavors up as it cooks. And for a lot of stuff, add salt near the end. Now, depending what you're cooking, I like to know that things are cooking pretty well as I cook them, so depending what I'm cooking, I'll add a little bit of salt earlier so I can taste it and get a sense of if it's tasting the way I want it to. But especially beans, putting salt in earlier with beans slows down the cooking time, so you want to be careful with that. We're still being good. Kevin, you better not be chewing something you shouldn't. Alright, so I've got a lot of garlic here that I'm going to use for the lentil soup and the chili. I guess I'll do the jalapenos first. Obviously the spiciest part of the jalapeno is those seeds and pith on the inside. So you can get that out. Now you can do it a few different ways. You know, I try to touch it as little as possible because it gets on your fingers and it's really hard to get off, but I'm never successful. And I always, you know, at some point later today, I will remember that I used jalapenos because I'll go to wipe my eyes or take a whiz and experience a painful burning sensation unassociated with college-age decisions, and realize that it's just the irresponsibility of in the kitchen, I suppose. Kitchen irresponsibility, not bedroom irresponsibility. But you know, you want to get those seeds and the pith out of there to cut down a little on the spice. If you like spicy stuff, leave them in. I like spicy stuff, but I am the only person in my family who really likes stuff as spicy as I like it. So in an effort to cater to everyone else, I try to, you know, still get jalapeno in there, but there we go, but not as much as I might like. It still tastes good, you still get a bit of heat. And the other thing is, over the course of cooking this, that spice will sort of cook down a little bit. So however spicy it was when you started, it won't be that spicy when you end. So the onions and mung beans are cooking there. I'm just going to go ahead and make it simple. I'm going to put the Kevin, boyo, watch this, twice now. You're going to go out? You going out? Stands there, just stands there. Looks outside, it's raining, won't go out. Every time. While I walk past the oven, I might as well check. Our bread's, it's gonna be a pretty flat loaf. Gluten-free baking, man. I made this bread loaf yesterday that looked amazing. Came out looking like a baguette. Beautiful brown crust on it, tasted incredible. Exactly the same dough today. I guess maybe I'll let it rise for too long. I mean, it seems weird, but yeah, just sort of rose some, smooshed out a lot. But I don't know, slice it up, dip it in soup, it'll probably taste good. You know, I'm not going to beat myself up over everything I fuck up in the kitchen. Throw some garlic in. Oh yeah, that's for you, Kev. Get after it. There we go. Oh, get in there. So we got mung beans, onions, garlic, going for the lentil soup. I keep saying lentil soup, it's going to be hard for me not to. Plus, if I say mung bean soup in front of everyone when they get home, people are going to be frustrated with me for not making lentil soup. Let's finish up the chili real quick. So we've got TVP, onions, natural herbs and spices, a little bit of garlic, bell pepper, jalapeno in here. Into that, you're going to put as much tomato paste as you care to use. And this is going to be, I'm sorry, that noise is probably just wildly annoying over the microphone. This is going to be a really good sort of test case or I don't know, demonstration. There we go. It's a demonstration of what you get when you cook things for a long time, because you start out, I don't like wasting tomato paste, even when you buy it for 47 cents a can or whatever. There you go, kind of clean that off a little bit. So, tomato paste, water, a little more water probably. You will see how bright red this is when I mix this water in. So let's have a go. There it is. So right there you can see that's the chili. It's going to take a little bit for that tomato paste to sort of soften and mix in. Everything's pretty green. Oh, we've got to add the beans in yet. I'll do that in a second. But, you know, as that tomato paste breaks down, it's obviously going to give everything that real red color like that. Now, when this is done cooking, it's going to have this incredibly deep brown color as a result of those tomatoes caramelizing. That's where I like it. There we go. That's a little, see, now you get to see me cooking. That's what we're going for. It's a cooking show. It's a talking and cooking show. So, that's the chili. We'll throw those beans in. I have found I'm almost always a little too free and easy with the bean juice, but you know, you do what you can. It's probably enough beans. I've got some set aside. Let's have a look at that. That's pretty good. One nice thing about chili is the kids love it, so they eat a lot of it. It keeps pretty well, and you can make a couple of various meals out of it. One of my favorites is Frito chili pie. Growing up in Australia, we didn't have Fritos. They're not a thing there. But my mum would make chili and try to make Frito chili pie. And because we hadn't heard of Fritos, they were alien to us. It was always more humorous to us to call it Cheeto frilly pie. So I still occasionally refer to it as Cheeto frilly pie. But Frito chili pie, Texan original, I understand in your Texas school cafeterias, it consists of just putting a scoop of chili into a bag of Fritos. I don't know, I guess that's a thing. I've just heard about it. I didn't go to school here. But you know, you get some Fritos, layer it up. You can use vegan cheese quite well in there, so shredded vegan cheese works really well. Layer it up with, you know, Fritos, diced up white onion, and chili, and bake it for a while. So bowls of chili, delicious. Top it with Fritos, vegan cheese, avocados, white onion. I don't know why white onion's such the perfect go with. I suppose white onion has a milder flavor when it's not cooked. So there you go. Yeah, white onion, avocado, and then maybe the next day you say, oh, you know what, now we're doing Frito pie, call it something different. It's an entirely different meal with all the same ingredients, and you can get everyone excited about it and not have to tell them they have to deal with eating leftovers. So into my, all right, so the chili's going. Get back on track. Man, I could talk about 18 different things before I get done with this video, but pretty soon the baby's going to be waking up. At some point I want to post this video. If anyone's still watching, it's a miracle, you know. I mean, I'm proud of myself for being able to cook 3 things at once, plus talk to strangers on the internet, but not many strangers left if it takes this long, right? So into here we've got, and I'll throw a little picture on this too. It's probably good. One more potato? Nah, that's good, I reckon. So we'll put in some celery too. I think that'll taste good. Plus, I've got some celery, and try as I might, the kids kind of mostly refuse to eat celery boats. Ants on a log. Now, to be sure, you can throw this celery in at a later time, and in fact I might, because celery is obviously going to cook a lot faster than potatoes and carrots. There you go. So we've got this pan going. I know this. There's Kevin. Again, watch this. All right, buddy. Kev. Nothing. You just want to look. Just wants to look. The death of me. The absolute death of me. That's me. On screen. World famous. Worldwide. So for the time being, I guess I'll hold off on putting the celery in that. I'm going to put in instead, I had this set aside for a reason. There we go. A little bit of veggie stock. Oh, keeping my eye on the time. I've got water I was heating up earlier precisely for this purpose. There we go. These sounds have got to be just joy to my viewers' ears. That's probably the way I'm muting them, but I'm not doing it. Good and hot. We can probably throw a little more water in there. Boom. So, with the chili, there it is. We're getting it. I don't know, can we, if I get down here? Oh yeah, no, yeah. Oh, look at that. Look at that chili. That's the color I'm going for. Baby's waking up. This timing couldn't be better. We've got this real red chili. I'm gonna turn it on. You can do this in a crock pot and it's better, but I don't have a crock pot right now. You cannot do it in the Instant Pot, crock pot setting, slow cooker setting. It is not hot enough. The saute setting on the Instant Pot's too hot. The slow cooker setting's too low. But a big cast iron pan on real low of my little burner, and you just let that go for the next 24 hours. Give it a stir occasionally. It will start to, obviously the water will evaporate off. So every now and then you just want to come through and add some more water, give it a stir. Don't worry about it being too runny, because you just keep cooking it, the water cooks off, the water cooks off. As you start getting a little closer to the time you're serving it, you want to be perhaps a little less charitable with your water addition to make sure you don't have runny chili. But adding the water and keeping it pretty loose while it's cooking will stop it from burning to the bottom of the pan if the bottom of your pan's too hot. In a slow cooker, crock pot, you should be all right. You shouldn't have to worry too much about it burning on the bottom of the pan, but still, you can keep it covered and you'll lose less water to evaporation. Still give it a stir every now and then. You just want to mix things through, keep those flavors going through. And then once you get close to serving it, you'll note I haven't put any salt in here right now. And the only salt in this lentil soup is what's in the broth. So those lentils, having gone in the pan for a while, they absorb water pretty quickly, but they still need to cook. Lentils, mung beans. I've never made it with mung beans. I assume they're going to cook like lentils. So I'm going to let this go at a low simmer for about half an hour, and then I'll give it a try, see how those beans are doing. If they're pretty close to cooked, it's 10:30 right now. I'll turn it off and just let this sit. When I come through later today, I'm hoping to add some chopped tomatoes that I don't have right now, which will be good because they'll stay a little bit in bigger chunks. I'll probably throw the celery in so it cooks in a little, and that'll be ready to go. The chili, I'm just going to give it a stir. Tomorrow I'll come through and do another little video, take a picture of it so you can see what it looks like. And then we'll have a look how our incredibly sad bread loaves come out right as the baby's getting up. I mean, that's a pretty flat bread loaf. I don't know, I'll bring it over. I'm gonna burn the shit out of my hand. Boom. Oh, you can't even see it either. Sad day. You ready for this? Oh, that's hot. Oh yeah, that's a hot loaf. Ooh, hot bread, Zeke. I mean, from this, just don't look at it from the side. Anywho, I'll come through, post a little pictures of everything as it's cooked, and we'll go from there. But yeah, like I said, the time you cook things, that is one of the biggest factors in how to make good food. Cook things for a while, and if you need to cook things for a while, try to cook them ahead of time. Like I said, I'm making one meal for tomorrow night. I'm making one meal for tonight. It's not even lunchtime. But it's taken me 41 minutes on camera right now. Not quite start to finish. Slowed down by the dogs, sped up by chopping some stuff up ahead of time. But slowed down a little trying to make a video. Put about half an hour in, and I'm trying to cook 3 things. Put about half an hour of cooking in earlier in your day. Free up some time later in the day so you can hang out with your kids. That's my plan. Yeah, and I'm going to use the second nap time to edit this video together, and then we'll whack in those pictures once everything else is done. All right. Oh yeah, I need that.